It's all good.
Cheers. To Grandpa.
To Grandpa.
Well, you can get a video of me holding Grandpa, I guess, too, huh?
Yeah, of course. I'm gonna just...
Want to bring it back and let Margo get a picture of me with him?
Hello, handsome Roy.
There's several.
Roy brought this beautiful California weather.
Oh, yes. Lovely day.
It's so nice to have you here.
Very nice to be here.
You look so handsome.
It was a very big tree. It wasn't a pine, it was a deciduous tree.
Oh, okay.
And it blew over with one of the storms we've had.
Wow.
I should have brought my tripod.
Okay, so,
Oh, walked here from
I just take
Wow, I sat here. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna make a beautiful video for you, Mama. Oh, there he is.
Can you get the bottom?
Of course.
Is it upright? I don't know where it is.
It's pretty good.
Barely getting warmer.
Wow.
Like,
hold it up again.
little, like snowdrops peeking out.
I got that years ago, but might as well have it for today.
Oh,
Yeah, of course.
No. Do it again.
Hello, hello, handsomes.
Psalm 121, a song of ascents. I lift up my eyes to the hills. From where does my help come? My help comes from the Lord, who made heaven and earth. He will not let your foot be moved. He who keeps you will not slumber. Behold, he who keeps Israel will neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord is your keeper. The Lord is your shade on your right hand. The sun shall not strike you by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord will keep you from all evil. He will keep your life. The Lord will keep your going out and your coming in from this time forth and forevermore. Very intently, and he said, forevermore.
Yeah, it's a beautiful song. Thank you, Alan.
So I can start, I suppose. Okay. Well, it is really special being here again, and May is an amazing time of year. And of course, Jillian and I just got back from our big travels 3 years ago, and I'm grateful that we were back. Grateful to have a little time with Dad before he had that next stroke or whatever it is that happened. And it was actually a really beautiful morning like this. I took a walk with him, pushed him around in the wheelchair at the memory care place on the outside. And he was amazingly lucid and naming the birds and the squirrels and the rabbits, and we sat in a very nice spot, much like this, And it was really pleasant, really fun, and I made a commitment to myself. I'm going to come and do this as often as I can because it's really nice. And 2 days later, he had whatever that was that made it so we didn't talk much anymore. But this spot, I can really imagine him loving this spot right here. And I think, you know, it must have been so hard for him in losing his mental acuity and his memory and his just the confusion, and you know, it must have been very hard because he's always a person in my whole life, somebody who's very thoughtful and reflective, and it became very difficult for him to be thoughtful and reflective. But there were moments that he would come through and say something that was really moving and wonderful and right on point. I guess my central, so here's my philosophy about when you lose somebody. My philosophy is you think about what that person brought into the world that is the most precious, the most moving, what the world needs the most. And they're not here in body to do that anymore. But we receive those gifts, and we know those things, and we are here in body, and we can do those things. And so from my point of view, the best way to honor my dad is to think about the things that he said and did that I feel are the most full of blessing. And those things for me are just a sense of gentleness, idealism, faith in the value of learning and advancing ourselves, and seeking a society that is actually peaceful and not warlike. He was the kind of dad who didn't so much go and throw a football with me. He was the kind of dad who showed me a more humane way of being. That it's not about, you know, win every game or win every match or win at any cost. It was the opposite of that. It was about make sure other people are okay. Make sure you're not jumping in front of somebody else in line. Make sure you don't grab too much attention. It's one of his favorite things. But there's a beauty behind all of that. That beauty is the sense that we're all in here together, and that we share this space together, and there's no reason for any of us to assert ourselves in front of anybody else. And that's what he means when we think about him in the most essential form. It's that commitment to being part of the humanity and not stand out, not displace, not crowd out, but to embrace and to accept and be peaceful. So those are some of my memories. Thank you, Ellen.
Well, for me, Dad was talking about May visiting Grandpa, and I was there that day, got out of work, and that was so nice. But I was lucky, and I had a lot of really nice visits with Tim and Grandpa, and one of them is Grandpa grabs our hand and he's like, "Get engaged very soon." But Tim was gone, and Tim came back, and at that point Grandpa had saved up his energy for that sentence. So by the time Tim came back, he said, "Very soon, very soon." And Tim's thinking, oh no, he's saying like he thinks he's gonna pass away soon, and we need to visit again very soon. And he's like, we'll be back very, very soon. We'll be back. We come every week. And then, but I knew what had just been said, but I couldn't tell Tim that because I don't know if you guys remember the lady with the fake cat.
Yes.
Well, she took a liking to Tim, so every time she saw him, she magnetized over. So she was there, and I was like, I just can't do this right here. So, so when we left, I told Tim when we got outside, and he's like, well, let's go right back in there right now and do this right now. I was like, no, cat lady's in there. We can't. And then, so we kept visiting Grandpa, and then at the very end, we had spent a day with a lot of people, and maybe it was that day when we had that breakfast with Grandpa, and then we went inside. And then it was just Tim, me, and Grandpa for a second. So we had made a plan already. We were going to do this for Grandpa, and it'll just be a secret. And then later on, we'll do something. So that's what we did, and he was so happy. He squeezed both of our hands, he smiled. He was, I forget if he said something or not, I can't remember, but I just remember him squeezing our hands. And then, but I really appreciated those last 3 months. I had been coming out of my back surgery, and we would go. But that was really special for me to get to have those, at least, it was almost 3 months of more regular visits with Grandpa. And actually, I guess the last thing I want to say is, the morning that he did pass away, that night I knew that it was going to be the last time I said bye to him. I could just tell. And then that morning it rained in the morning around 4, and I knew that he went with the rain. And so when I woke up, it must have been around this time in the morning, and I walked from Pine Ring Park through the fields right to here, and I sat in this garden, and I felt like Grandpa was right there. And I almost had this idea of Grandpa wanting to have, like, me and Tim live at Caronwood Village when we're older or something. But I just sat on that bench right here, and I really felt like this spot was really special for Grandpa.
It was. Really special.
And when he realized your wedding would be at some point, he says, we got our bees in.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure he was there too. Spirit. I remember taking Dad back here, and we would sit at the bench and watch the blackbirds, and we would just sit for like half an hour and just watch. Wow, isn't this incredibly beautiful scene? And another thing is that he was always so positive of you and me. He's number one a supporter of marriage and of us. I really appreciated that. I really love Jillian.
Something that really, like, stuck out for me with Grandpa that still, like, to this day I'll just think of every now and then is how you and Grandpa would say that prayer, this is the day the Lord has made, let us rejoice and be glad in it. And the way that Grandpa would say it was so, like, full of emphasis and just so, like, memorable that when I was going through some hard times toward the end of my time with Martine, I would, like, get myself up in the morning and I would sit, like, and meditate because, like, that I needed to. So that was my mantra through, like, just in Albuquerque. I really needed it then, and I would just, like, think of Grandpa, and he, I don't know, just the thought of him and his presence really just was so comforting and uplifting. Just like, okay, this is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. So
It was our breakfast prayer every day.
yeah, just the conviction that he said it. That stuck out the most. He's said many wise things, but that's the one that I want to say today. You know,
It's a beautiful thought.
yeah.
Yeah, Grandpa is a great memory for me because, I don't know, when I look at this world, I just see a lot of people that do whatever it takes to get by and sort of put their own priorities first. And Grandpa was the polar opposite to that, whereas he liked to think of others before himself. And because it's so uncommon, like I just look at him as like a role model for myself, because it takes a lot of you need to be really humble in the cooking industry to make it, because you're constantly taking in new information from a bunch of different people, and it's overwhelming. But if you have a humble attitude and you don't let people like get to you or stir you, it goes well and you learn a lot and you constantly are improving. And I'm seeing that right now in my career, and I have to thank him because he taught me that. And yeah, it's really valuable to me. So that's all I really wanted to say.
Is that we had time to evaluate the memories with Bob over 3 years, and it's not as emotionally raw as his real funeral. So I feel like we have simmered down all the emotional stuff and now have crystallized our true loves and feelings for Bob. And what springs out at me after those 3 years is I truly have not met a guy that was more kind-hearted and just allow you personal space and your freedom of thought than that man. He was, if I just think about the one foundation of our Christian religion is to love your neighbor, he did it, and I know he's in heaven. He actually came in form of cardinals and moles and all kinds of little signatory pieces in nature and visited us over the last 3 years, and we know he's doing well because he's out there and he's visiting people and he makes his presence known to the ones who really seek him out. So I know he's happy, and I'm at peace. I have had time to sort out the memories and hold on to the memories that are really dear to me. And his kindness stands out as one of the most beautiful and sweet things that I've received from humankind. That's all I got.
So the only thing I really have to say about Grandpa is he's one of the few people I know on this world who gives without expecting anything in return and truly lives by that and not just says it. So that's what I appreciate about him. I miss that I wasn't able to spend so much time with him when he was on this earth. Never really appreciated him. And I had to grow up a lot to learn how to appreciate how to take it slower in life like he did, but now he's gone. And it's kind of hard, but it's all right to say.
I just want to give thanks for his life. I appreciate his soul. I'm so happy he met Grandma because we wouldn't all be here today without that. Yeah, he's a symbol of compassion for me in my life, and I was actually visited by a cat like 2 days ago, and I just got Grandpa vibes from this cat, and it was the timing of it was really interesting because I just picked up Odin, the child I nanny, and we just got back to his house, and immediately I opened the door and this cat just like walks up to me, and like the most fuzzy cat, it was a little orange tabby cat. And me and Odin just like lay on the ground together and are petting this cat with like, I don't know, this cat had like amazing vibes. Like, I don't know how to explain it. It was like such a warm cat. Like, and then yeah, so the cat just like walked away, and then it actually came back and it was sitting like in the front. But yeah, Odin had washed his hands already, so we couldn't go out and pet the cat again. Yeah, I thought of Grandpa in that moment, and it made me feel his compassion. And I really felt like his spirit has been here recently. I've been feeling it a lot recently, and I know you guys have been too. And yeah, I'm really grateful for him.
I agree with what everybody else said, and I'm thinking about the last walk I took with him around this area, which was, I have a photo album up of it, I retitled it later, Last Walk with Dad, December 29, 2014. And it was on the other side of the building for the most part, and out towards the pike, and decided not to cross the street, instead towards the cathedral, and instead went to the college. Tore up some large buildings, rooms inside the college. was in love with the word selfie, I suppose. We did lots of selfies, and he has tremendous, if you look down, he has tremendous smiles. All the pictures were the same. So I had no idea that would be the last walk I would take with him at the time it happened. The slow deterioration, of course, kept progressing. But always treasure that memory, and also the going around with him in San Luis Obispo was his 55th class reunion about 5 years, I believe, before that. There was another album of that. And really glad I had those times, as well as all the other times, just hanging out in the room. And getting to help everybody here. Yeah, again, I agree with what everyone else said regarding this integrity, stability. Yeah.
Okay, so I guess what we'll do. Yeah, what I'm thinking we'll do. It's easier to put scoops of ash in.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, let them fly. Yes, it will. And that'll be Grandpa's tree when they put it in there. It's a very special place. Always has been. So beautiful.
Put it right in the chips, but there's actually good soil underneath. Yeah, okay. Put something over there.
Wind just
Like a
picked up.
coat, right? I would do a
We
scoop
can even
each.
do it over here if you want. If somebody wants to put it over here, that's what we do that. They can put it wherever they want to.
Well, maybe what we do is
So, I offer a pause to come into our heart center and to really ground our energy into this beautiful garden. This garden that Grandpa, Daddy, Bob loved so much. The location of this beautiful space. Close your eyes and really call in his energy. Think of Grandpa's smiling face and breathe it in. Perhaps think of a moment in your life that you felt his love, unconditional love, where he touched you in the physical. Bring in that memory of him and really feel into your heart of who he was in your life. I had a walk in these fields while Daddy was passing, and he was holding on for about 4 days. And it was a really windy day, and I remember the wind blowing through my hair and just the birds, and in my heart I connected to him and I said, Dad, be free. We love you. We will always love you forever and ever, and I know you will always be connected to us. Let go of your physical body because you are going to be free. We're going to always be connected to you. And now here you are. Here you are in this beautiful garden. Your remains are going to be part of this fertile land that will breathe birth into these beautiful plants and align with more beauty. I remember as a little girl trying to keep up with your steps and reaching out for your finger and holding onto your finger, and just the love and security I always felt from you, the snuggling energy of unconditional love. You showed me that so many times in my life, and I'm so grateful.
So I wanted to tell my memory, my big memory from Grandpa that helped me through some of my difficult years, which is that Grandpa and Grandma would say that prayer, "This is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it." And the way that Grandpa would say that was full of so much conviction and so much intentionality and humility and just hope for each day. That really struck me and stuck with me, and it's been my mantra, honestly. I've used that and thought of Grandpa. There's many wonderful things I remember about him, but that one really sticks through all of time and has helped me too with my mantra now. So we love you, Grandpa.
Fields, I just want to say that I really have appreciated you being here for the last, how long has it been? That you
6 months.
Yeah, it's been really healing for our family for you to be here, and now you're about to go to Georgia for a show.
For a few days.
And then you're gonna feel about being back with the family for the last.
It's been a lot to wade through, but it's been a good experience. I think all of our relationships have improved, since the last time I lived here, which was like 5-6 years ago.
You're a really good, strong young man that has a very clear idea about what life's about.
Yeah, I just feel like I bring balance back to the family. It's been a little bit off a little bit, so.
We were really in a bad way on so many levels.
Yeah, everyone kind of sees each other eye to eye a little bit more now, which is good.
We're definitely not a perfect family.
No one's perfect.
I feel like we really do have a sense of how to just really accept each other and love each other much more wholeheartedly.
Yes.
And you've helped that.
Yeah, well, I wanted to improve my life, so it's all about your outlook.
And we're going to be spreading Grandpa's ashes on Friday, and you're going to be down in Georgia.
Yeah, I'll be back on Sunday, so I'll miss Friday.
So is there anything that you would maybe want to share about Grandpa and that whole experience?
No, I mean, I loved him very much. I wasn't here when he died. I was in Germany, so I can't emotionally attach myself to the event so much, but I knew he was going when I saw him in an Alzheimer's hospital, so I kind of, it clicked then. I knew he was going to be dead soonish, and, I've always loved him. He's always been a jolly guy, and it was really cool to hear his voice on the old tape recordings that Grandma had. She showed me in the car a few times when we hung out together, and yeah, it was cool to hear his spontaneousness and his ability to collect everyone and his social aspect. Yeah, I never really heard that side of him before. I always kind of had that feeling that he was, just pretty chill and always wanted to be around the family. He's a very family-oriented guy, which I can say the same for myself. I'm just working on communication, mending relationships, because I've had a rough past. So yeah, but that's one step at a time. Yeah, I love the guy. I'm glad he's free, in heaven and unbound by earthly shit that we all deal with every day. Yeah.
And whose sweater are you wearing right now?
I'm wearing his. I've been wearing this sweater a lot. This is one of my favorite sweaters. And
yeah.
It used to be his.
So you're about to get on an airplane, so definitely Grandpa is going to be with you in the sky, protecting you, wearing that sweater. And
yeah.
I love that it really actually fits you better than it ever fitted.
It looks really good right now because it just got out of the wash and it tends to tighten up.
Ah.
I had it on, it was baggy.
Yeah, very baggy.
Over his it was funny.
He loved it though because I gave it to him. So now that just...
Give it to me.
I don't get attached to many material things, but that sweater is a special
Yeah, when you see someone wear something, it's different though.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not really materialistic, in my opinion, anymore. It's not just like an objective thing.
Crazy crazy is Amara worked on this garden for a while too.
Did she?
Yeah, didn't she?
Or
Pretty sure
was
she
it
did.
Michelle? Michelle might have worked on
Oh.
it. Did you girls work on the garden at all? Amara did. You called it. No way. Larson literally just picked that out of the air.
Yeah, it was a thought as I was walking over.
He got your thought, Amara. It's crazy.
All your intimate thoughts about him, because it was very special to hear each one of you and what meant the most to you about Bob. And I thank the Lord every day that he was in my life and that he still is in my life. I feel his presence very strongly. Over the last 3 years, I've been visited by him at least 5 or 6 times, always early in the morning. And I say visited because he was there. It wasn't a dream, because I can remember it clearly. That dream fades away, but this doesn't fade away. And I feel like he's been there and like he has a sort of an obligation here. And I was wondering whether the ashes were part of that obligation, because it's a job unfinished. And he's sitting under the TV, which he loved so much. He loved watching the news all day and the TV and the sports and all that. And so it was sort of fitting to have him with the TV. And there's so many times that I caught myself thinking he's still there. I mean, I'd be at the dining room table and I'd turn around to the sofa. I'd say something to him and turn around and see his response, and then, oh, he's not there. And it would almost shock me because I was fully expecting to see him. And then time after time after time, I'd be like watching TV or I'd be on the computer and whatever it is. He would often be in the other room. And I'd think, well, it's time to go to bed. I better, close this up and we'll go to bed. And then oh yeah, he's not here, is he? But, it was so real that whenever I had that thought that to me he was there. And the last time I saw him, he appeared very, very real, very, very active. And he was sitting in the bed, not lying down with me, and he was hugging me. And I looked at him and his skin was taut. It wasn't old like he was 80 plus years old, and his skin gets loose. And I felt his arm, and it was nice taut skin, like a younger person, around 40, I think, or so, or 50 even. And his hair was black and curly and pretty and full, and not with a balding spot. And he looked so happy. He didn't have the wrinkles in his face. I thought, wow, he's looking terrific. I told him, I said, you look just great. And that made me think, and then I started to put it all together about how you would be here. And I had nothing to do with you choosing these dates. And then I looked at the calendar and I thought, wow, it's 3 years for him, the day after you get here. We have to do something. I felt driven to that. And then I thought about this little garden here, and I thought, well, can I dare ask for this? So I did, and you saw the letter. I sent it to each of you and told them I totally understood if they denied the request, because it's rather unusual and I didn't want to start a precedence and all that. But they just said, just don't advertise it. And that I was perfectly free to do that. It took them about 2 weeks to make up their minds. And what did it was our nice little sacrificial stump. That tree came down in one of our big storms, and everybody was really sad to lose it. And then they dug it out, and there it was. And people were saying, well, we could dedicate a tree. I mean, they could dedicate a tree and bury the ashes with that. And then somebody else piped up and said, well, we already had a tree come down on the wildflower garden. Why don't we just let them use that? So that's why we're here. We can thank the board for helping us with that decision and condoning it. And isn't it lovely having the bird songs here this morning too? The birds are cheering him along. And with 3 years of 3 years now have passed, and it's a completion. 3, as we know, is a complete number. And I feel like this is a real ascension, you might say. He needs to be resurrected and go on his path to find us a home, like we said when he went on. And he promised he would do that. So I'd like to think of him now, even though I've loved his visitations. There comes a time where he has to see to himself. I think he's been worried about me. Now he needs to worry about him. And I send him happily on his way. If I don't see him anymore, I know where he is, and that's the important thing. And it won't be too long before I join him up. So if I could give all of you a hug, and then we'll spread his ashes. Did you ever see that little stuffed kitty over there? It looked very real. Everybody thought it was real. Precious pearl. Meditation. Yep.
The falling.
Never forget this day for sure.
Cremated remains of Robert Leroy Bedford.
The fairies got ya.
Who's next?
Your sister.
In the hole.
Yeah.
I'd like to check out his arm.
I actually wanted to.
You might have an easier time feeling when you come down this. Oh, okay.
Expecting to cry this morning.
Yeah, it's emotional.
Perfect.
Wow, Jillian just nailed it.
Bring the ashes of the bunny and the child out.
It's easier to come down that way.
Watch out for the roots. It's easier to throw out some roots.
You can just
This is pretty. Faye Cooper did a lot of this garden. She loved gardens. Yeah, that's the runoff for it. It's the catch basin, right? Peter Barracky made the bridge.
That's nice. With Ron? Him and Ron?
I can't know. I know Pete did it. I don't know if he must have had some kind of help. I really don't know.
Isn't listening at all.
Yeah. So let's keep it inside the shadow.
Oh, that's what you don't.
But I'd like to get shot.
Cool.
It seems faster. It's a speed test.
It's a speed test, and it's like a short race, and it's really technical, and they get into it.
All the specs and stuff. What's going on.
So he watches that every Monday.
Hi.
And he works at the Honda.
Be on the screen.
Probably not a good idea to be at home.
I wish you could turn it around during the same video.
I know. It's weird that
It was like reversed, so it could be like
you know what would
this.
be great if the pop socket had a kickstand.
I know. Or like
Speak to this congregation. Peace to every soul in the car after we did our thing. And I turned on the key and turned on the radio, and it did, peace be to this congregation. Peace to every soul there is. Peace, the earnest of salvation.
To the east, and then it follows that way for a while, goes to Channel Lake, and then
reached out to Emily and told her about the craft crawl tomorrow. I was like, hey, I'm gonna be there.
to the east, and then follows that way for a while, goes through Chain of Lakes, and then finally at Grand Rapids, which is right here, it starts heading south. So here's the
I
Mississippi.
figured I should let them know.
You can still do it with kindness.
Yeah, exactly. You can be assertive and kind.
Yeah.
Which bridge? I mean, what city?
Because the kinder you say no, the less people will challenge you. You just say, hey, it's a no. Did you hear me?
Yeah. If someone tells you no, you're saying, all right, it's whatever.
Tomorrow I'll show you a video of Carla. She is the girl.
Yeah. You're done. That's come on, man.
It's not an easy game, but it's a fun game. That thing was not really.
You know, they never forget anything. So the idea, if you're retraining a horse, don't push those buttons that are going to make them.
Job I used to do in the office isn't my job.
You have nothing else. But I like the ones that really come out arcing high and just popping right from the hole.
You don't even have that much of an arc. You just. Is that your first point? No, you made two.
Oh yeah.
How many did Uncle Roy make?
Two.
Two? Okay, so now it's.
Whoa!